Here we go. Hi everybody. Let me just pop out the chat. There we go. So nice to be back. Okay, so today for a cheese segment of the show, first I'm going to pour myself a delicious cup of, I think this is hummingbird coffee. Hummingbird is a particularly apt avian species for a coffee brand, I've got to say. Good choice. Very nice. Okay, so to address the concerns before... Hey Daniel! Norodor, Kairos, Dragon Turtle. How to D&D? How's it going? Pepper Jones, Apocalyptic Moth, Seamus. How's it, everybody? I had some concerns before that the Parmigiano that I was the Parmigiano Reggiano and the I've got a Grana Padano and I've got a Pecorino Romano cheeses. These are all from the same manufacturer and they're all from Italy. Because I went back to the supermarket and I checked very carefully the labelling and stuff. And in New Zealand we take our labelling pretty seriously. Also, we're a big cheese exporting country, so I think it was a matter of pride somewhat that Italy actually gets its best cheese exported to New Zealand, and I pay top dollar for this cheese. So I don't actually think it's a rip-off. It certainly looks and tastes very authentic. And there was also some concerns that it looked too pale. Well, there's there's a couple of different cheeses here to show you the different... It actually looks a lot paler on camera than it is in real life. So the Pecorino is a lot paler. Padano, it's almost like a spectrum actually. Padano is kind of the same as the Reggio, but the Reggio is definitely darker than the other two. Quite a lot darker. So let's dig in. Now I'm familiar with the Reggio, so I'm going to try the Pecorino first. See how this tastes. Is that goat cheese? Hard cheese with a rich 2,000-year history made with the fresh whole milk of local sheep. The aromatic cheese is lightly spicy and tangy, perfect balanced flavour and nutrition. Well, it's definitely sheep cheese. It's very mild for a sheep cheese. I could tell that almost immediately. Yeah, that's a remarkably hard, crystally cheese for goat or sheep cheese. It's quite amazing. Nice. Not a huge fan of goat cheeses on the whole. I like a good goat Gouda. Okay, this is the Grana Padano. Oh, cheese cough. Hey Ruben. It's all good. Just working on video content and listening to you. Oh, good. YouTubers never rest. That's true. YouTubers never rest. So the Grana Padano, this cheese gets its name from the grainy texture and its origin in the Padanian region, where a sweet flavour intensified by aging. Perfect for grating and used as a final touch in pasta and risotto. Well, I'm not rich enough to grate this cheese. It doesn't seem to have the same hard texture. It's a little bit more rubbery. It was basically like an Italian cheddar. Not even that sharp. Well, I suppose it's a bit sharp. No, I think Reggio is definitely my favourite. So I'm going to dig into a slice of this just to compare. Yeah, it's very mild. Cheese connoisseur, yeah. Yeah, the Reggio is definitely the best. Well done. Well done, Italy. All right. That concludes the cheese segment of the show. Oh no, you're allergic to cow's milk. Goat cheese is pretty strong. I would suggest try a goat Gouda. Maybe flavoured with some herbs. Has to be on a leaf. So today was basically a selection of 3 different Italian hard cheeses, and I was just showing from the packaging and stuff that it is actually authentic cheese from the region in Italy, even though it's very hard to come by. It's even hard to come by in Italy. But as you may know, a lot of local manufacturers get more money from exporting internationally. The Kiwi dollar's not too bad, and we pay top dollar for our imports. So it may be that people in Italy actually have a harder time getting hold of that because it's all exported, which is kind of the same for crayfish in New Zealand. So much crayfish is exported that we actually pay export prices for it locally. Yeah, there's tons of different mammals. You can make cheese from damn near anything. New stream time? No, this is the same stream time. Same stream time it always is. There may be seasonal changes for daylight savings, or mountain time, or whatever. Which cheese did I like the most? I like the Parmigiano Reggiano. Parmigiano Reggiano. Yeah, it's a really nice hard cheese. It's got a crystal crunch to it, and it's just a great flavour. It is crazy, isn't it? Yeah, that we pay more money. Well, I mean, it's a limited resource, and the people who are fishing under quotas, for instance, for crayfish, have to get the top dollar for it. So it makes sense that they'd sell it to the highest bidder, and it doesn't make any sense that people they should be expected to take less money from locals for it when they could be getting top dollar from people who will pay more for it overseas. Kangaroo cheese. I don't think anybody's ever milked a kangaroo, and I don't think they should. Kangaroos are remarkably lean. They don't have an ounce of fat on their body. If you've ever tasted kangaroo meat, it tastes like liver. It's so lean. Kangaroo jerky, yeah. I'm not a big fan of kangaroo. It's basically just a large rat. Okay, that was an obvious lie. Okay, I've got a bit of show and tell to show you guys. You fine folks. So I did a bit of shopping, and I got hold of the advanced Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook. This is the last version of the Player's Handbook that they put out, and includes all the stuff from Unearthed Arcana and stuff. This is also known as the Zeb Cook version, and it's got, in the inside cover, it's got all of the essential books that you would need as a player and as a dungeon master. And in the right at the back of the book, it's got the different campaigns that were available at the time. So we've got Birthright, Forgotten Realms, Ravenloft, Dark Sun, Planescape, and Dragonlance. No Spelljammer in this particular one. So yeah, really cool. And this is the world's at your doorstep. So this is different books that are available for these different settings. Campaign setting accessories for Dark Sun, Monsters Compendium, Defilers and Preservers, Wanderers, Wind Riders and Jagged Cliffs, Mind Lords of the Last Sea. So cool. And yeah, the main difference between this and the other books in the AD&D line is that it's got full color artwork all the way through. It's really pretty, and everything's a lot easier to find. So you'll see in my videos, a lot of this artwork shows up because it is such classic artwork. This wasn't actually the player's handbook that I used though when I was playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, but I wish I had this one at the time. So I've also got a hard copy of the Monster Manual 2, just to show you what this looked like. Here's a selection of Modrons. All black and white artwork throughout it, very simplistic. Looks like the sort of stuff that you would sketch on a napkin. But that was D&D for us for a long time. Here's the original Player's Handbook. This is the kind that I used when I was in my youth. Many hours spent listening to Melissa Etheridge and In Living Colour and various other classic music. And just to show you that there wasn't a lot of artwork, it was all black and white. And there was lots of charts and tables. He says opening on every page with artwork on it. And yeah, we spent a lot of time poring over that. Then we've got Unearthed Arcana. And this basically was like the player's option. This is almost like the playtest package. Lots of different options that you can have in your game. Illusionist spells and what have we got here? We've got half elves, halflings, half orcs, humans, different character races, different options of them. The cavalier, the paladin, the druid, fighter, barbarian, ranger, the thief, acrobat. It's got rules for like all sorts of stuff. And the classic Fiend Folio, which was the monster manual that was produced by readers of White Dwarf magazine in England. So all of the creatures that come from the Fiend Folio, including, let's see, classic monsters such as obviously the Gith Yankee and Githzerai have their origin there. The Burbalang, Aarakocra have their origin in the Fiend Folio. Edicaps, lots of different stuff really. Gorbels, Grimlocks, Gith Yankee, Githzerai, Hook Horrors, Hecuva, the Lizard King, Lamian Nobles, Quippers. Quippers even show up in 5th edition. So yeah, quite interesting that a lot of this Dungeons and Dragons history. Oh, Christopher Olsen, Hank, thank you very much. Can you make a video about size differences in 5th edition? Yeah, I sure can. Mr. Notador, your comment was moderated due to language. Sorry, bud. Hey, Ian, they all miss you. They say it's not the same without you here. Yeah, that's DKK. What's DKK dollars? I'm not entirely sure. Where is DKK? Don't forget that people from all around the world watch the stream, and they're donating in different currencies. So obviously pesos is not going to be the same as American dollars. But still 50 of whatever currency. Thank you very much. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not just saying that. Somebody asked me just before the stream, is Ian going to be there? Yeah, we are. That's basically my mission too, is gather and preserve. Oh, that's a Cronin. Krona. Well, that would be pretty good then. The efforts to gather up previous lore and stuff like that and preserve it is pretty important, I think. Hello from Ohio. It's also Ohio is also good morning in Japanese. Ohio gozaimasu. Hey, Kidron. So size differences in Dungeons and Dragons. Danish krona, the crown. So side differences in Dungeons and Dragons, we mostly concern ourselves with like small and medium and large. Huge creatures come into play a fair bit. Gargantuan, you're talking like getting huge. Colossal is statue sized, you know, massive things. And then I had a size chart on that I posted up, which had basically a size system beyond what is handled in 5th edition. Cheese for the cheese god. Hey, Gibble. Largely, you don't get very involved with really massive creatures in Dungeons and Dragons because, first of all, in a terrestrial environment, they just don't make a lot of sense. They can't support their own weight and things like that. Sometimes you'll have things like gigantic serpents and creatures that are like gaseous cloud things that are massive, but it doesn't really matter how big they are. And then when you get out into space, if you're playing like a Spelljammer or a Planescape type setting where you are off-world and you're floating around asteroids or whatever in the astral sea, you can get truly gigantic creatures that you start to look at them more as environments than actual living beings. So you land on them and are going for specific strategic points rather than attacking the main body of the thing. It's just pointless attacking something that big in its main body. It just doesn't even notice. So you need to go for like the eyes or get into an orifice and attack some vital organ. Ah yes, the throne. What's the stream's theme? World building, adventure design, Q&A cheese is mainly because I haven't even changed the name of the stream from deeply nerdy, so we're still on world building, I suppose. Planet-sized beings, yep, or sentient dimensions for sure. Lucas, you play a gnome illusionist and we're about to fight a white dragon. I was wondering how could I help the party with my abilities. Well, illusions are pretty good. Like white dragons are pretty blunt and brutal. If your DM is playing them true to form, then they're just going to smash through things. So one thing you might want to do is create illusions of your party members to confuse the white dragon into attacking something that's not real. I would love there to be a spell. Somebody invent a spell where it instantly turns somebody invisible and makes an illusion of them standing right next to them, which is running off in a different direction. So it's basically a faking them out. I have to repeat the cheese part for gerbil. So today I ate some Parmigiano Reggiano, some Grana Padano, and some Pecorino Romano. This is a sheep cheese. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's the Pecorino was a sheep cheese, which was mild-ish for a sheep cheese. I thought it was originally goat cheese. Same sort of diff, I suppose. Grana Padano was like a really mild, like cheddar, and the Reggio is like a hard cheddar with crystal flakes of it, which is really nice. So that's definitely my favorite. And I was just confirming that they are in fact real from the region. Meteor beholder. Well, quite possible. Beholders can exist in space, in wild space. Yeah. You've been looking at the lore on Limbo, and I must say it's kind of disappointing. Yeah, Limbo is not a hot ticket destination for a lot of adventurers. Limbo is a place where you go to get the hell away from things. A 3.5 spell called Mislead. Well, there you go. They thought of everything in 3.5. Doppelganger. Nice. Beholders are insane. Yeah, technically. Usually are quite insane. They're definitely sociopaths. Highly xenophobic. Aggressive. Displacement cloaks, yep, for sure. Linguistically oversight. Could you imagine one who hasn't insanity that makes him think that it is his father or mother or another creature that's nothing like it, like a Cyclops? Are you talking? Are you still talking about beholders? The Cyclops was its daddy. That would be funny. Oh, we have it in Xanathars. Oh, very good. Well, there you go. Xanathar's Guides to Everything. I don't think I've even read this entire book yet, honestly. I should look at the Hexblade. Rates of falling. Now that becomes important when you're playing in a Spelljammer campaign. Sleeping in armor. Just don't do it, kids. It's bad for your back. Yeah, didn't figure out how to make the number crunching more fun. It's true. Just watched a nice Mage of the Ascension thing and I feel rather satisfied. And how are you people? I'm good. I actually played Mage of the Ascension. I think did I play that with you, Ian? We were with at the time Kiana was running it. Stardust. No, Harpies are coming up very soon. Actually, they're the next couple of videos in my quest to complete the monster manual, and we're getting close. We're in the H's. So there's more done than not done now. So next up is Harpy, then the Helmed Horror, then the Hippogriff, then the Homunculus. I'll get those ones out in pretty short order, I'd say. And then it's Invisible Stalker, Kraken, Magman, Mero, Nightmare, Ogres, Pegasus, Piercer, Pixie, Quaggoth, the Revenant, Sahuagin, Salamander, Satyr, Scarecrow or Satyr, or how do you pronounce that? Scarecrow, Spectre, Sphinx, Waterweird, Wraith, and the Yeti. And that will complete the monster manual, and then they will be able to put up a playlist A to Z of the monsters from the core monster manual, the entire book, which will be cool. I'm really looking forward to that. And I've got lots and lots of requests to do stuff on Demodans and Vestiges and Dead Gods and Living Spells, Cal's Renade, Azuvidius, Azuvidexus, summoning creatures, travel between planes, Athasian Gith, Shrieking Terrors, Titania, the Fey Queen, Blink Mammoths, Nightmares, Clockwork Beasts, Feral Gargans, Scarlet Brotherhood, Trappers, Lurkers Above, the Swan May, the Murland, the God of Magic Tech, Raceland, Fistandantilus, Mordenkainen, Bigby, the Phalarch, Sea of Fallen Stars, Guide to Greyhawk, City of Brass, City of Waterdeep, Magical Materials, Lacruta, Grimalkin, Bargist, Deadlock, Deepspawn, Burrowlings, Knuckleavy. Really got to get around to that one. The Sphinx, the Dero, Coyote, the Merska, which is a really good one. Moanda, Suriel, Morkoth, the Kostchi, Saruk, and the Lachey. I'm going to get probably the video on the Lachey done before I finish the Monster Manual stuff. Plus many more. All viewer requests that I will be getting around to. Blink Mammoth, yeah, that's one of my own ones. So that's I thought a Blink Mammoth would just be hilarious. Hey, thanks Dragon Lord. Thanks for the Half Dragon video. Also agrees should talk about the Drow Dragons. They are an interesting race of dragon elves. Yeah, very much so. That was very much a case of me doing research on a video and discovering a race of dragons that I didn't even know existed. Because I haven't read that far into the Drow series yet. So that was all news to me. When am I planning on getting to Half Orcs? Pretty soon, I would say. I'm about due to do another video on a playable race, aren't I? I still haven't. Yeah. Abishai are not drakes. No, they're dragon humanoids. They're a bit like draconians, I suppose, in a way, but they're creations of Tiamat. So they're technically Tiamat spawn of Tiamat. But they've taken on a life of their own because they're in the 9 hells now. So yeah. So half orcs. I still haven't done elves. I haven't done dwarves. Haven't done halflings. AJ's A to Z guide to the monster manual. Yeah. As far as I know, nobody's done it yet. Nobody's ever made an entire A to Z video series of an entire monster manual. Never been done. Yeah, blink mammoth like the dog. Exactly. It's like, no, the mammoths didn't go extinct. They just blinked to another plane of existence. And they're back, and they're angry. If it has numbers, it can die. Yeah. I'm late. Are abyssal drakes dragons or drakes? I think they are actually drakes. Have I ever read 2C Gaming's Epic Legacy Core Rulebook? If so, what do you think? No, I haven't. I'll be the first. Yeah, it's true. So another thing that you can do with your Gnome Illusionist when facing a white dragon is basically make illusions of pits and terrain stuff. So if you make an illusion of a over top of a chasm or something, like, it's tricky because if you're in the terrain that the white dragon is used to, like if you're in its lair or in its territory, it's going to know every inch of that terrain because they never forget anything. But if you can distract the dragon enough to make an illusion of pool of water over top of a spiked pit or something like that, it'll dive into the water to get away and come up and nab you, and it'll dive face first into a pit full of spikes. That's one thing that an illusionist can do. Your main problem with Limbo is there isn't a being or monster that is purely chaotic or chaotic come to live. Yeah, this is Slard. The Slard live in Limbo. That's their home turf, man. If you're in Limbo and you're not having fun and hijinks with Slard, you're not doing Limbo right. There's also all sorts of ethereal border creatures and stuff that hang out in Limbo. There's lost entities and beings. There's things like phase spiders and what are those things? Those things that sort of hang out on their border and come out and nab you. There's wizard keeps, and there's places where undead citadels and things like that exist, just floating through space. Limbo is a great place to put things if it doesn't need a lot of biological support. So yeah, I'm personally fond of putting undead fortresses of necromancers, long dead necromancers who are now liches, who have turned all of their servants and things, and everything in the place is undead. Like the whole place, it's practically built out of living bones. A blink Titanosaurus, nice. Everyone wants to play halflings, but nobody wants to play just lings. What is a ling? It's basically a round thing that eats. You've got insane Modrons in Limbo, right? Well, Modrons can show up anywhere because they march across the megaverse, across the multiverse. Do I know about Warhammer Fantasy? Do I know about what? Yes, I know about Warhammer Fantasy. I'm more of a Warhammer 40k fan than a Warhammer Fantasy fan because I've got D&D. I didn't really need Warhammer Fantasy. The Birthright campaign is a little bit more like Warhammer Fantasy. A blink Tarask. Hi AJ, I'm curious, do you know what the origin of the Erinyes are? The Erinyes, so the devils are fallen celestials, and the Erinyes basically retain their celestial form, so to speak. Like they've still got an angelic form. so they can sort of masquerade as angels. So they were basically celestials who got involved with the war against chaos. So it was law versus chaos, and they went too far, and basically Celestia said, "Yeah, you guys, you've gone a bit twisted." Because it wasn't a war between good and evil back in the time. It was basically just a war between chaos and law. And a lot of different sides were involved. And the Celestials, who were right on the forefront of battle, and the Erinyes are angels of battle, essentially got too far gone to go back to Celestia. They were just too twisted and too focused on combat. So now Erinyes basically spend their entire time, they're fully militarized. Like to their core, they are military beings who just live to fight and kill, and that's what they do. So when Erinyes shows up, essentially you've got the SEAL team of the Nine Hells about to lay the smack on you, and they don't have a lot of patience for the hijinks and politics of the Nine Hells. They're really just interested in the blood war. I mean, give or take. I mean, they've been alive for thousands and thousands of years. But for them, it's a never-ending war. Why would there be ethereal creatures in limbo or an outer plane? Because the ethereal plane is a border plane. It's a connecting plane, same as limbo. So it touches on itself. They touch on each other in an infinite variety of different places. So you can have pretty much anything floating around in limbo. That's the cool thing about it. It's like the dimension it's the under the carpet dimension, where the gods and primordials just swept stuff that didn't work. And things that, like, it's got all the left socks in the universe that go missing in clothes dryers. It's got, you know, stuff that got lost in portable holes, or when somebody's bag of holding blew up because somebody threw a portable hole in it, all the contents got thrown into limbo. That's where it all goes. Limbo. Picked up soon for your game. Have fun, Ian. Cythrine Modern. Exactly, Dragon Turtle. They're the Black Templars of the Nine Hells. Yep. Yeah. So Ego, during the time of troubles, the gods basically got kicked out of divinity by Ao, because somebody tried to mess with the rules. Cyric and various others tried to steal the rules and basically rewrite themselves as higher up in the pantheon. And Ao basically said, "No, you can all go back to the mortal world and prove yourselves worthy again of being gods." And Bane got kicked out, and various others got kicked out. The only one who didn't get kicked out was, I think it was Torm, who was like the hall monitor of the gods. And he wouldn't let them back in. It's the Cardiff of the multiverse. There may be people from Cardiff on the stream, Ian. We're just biased because we watch Doctor Who. Alchemical grenade. Ooh. Well, no, the negative material plane is where things go to dissolve into nothing. So I was just... those of you who are actually friends of mine on Facebook, you'll see that I posted, there's a really good video at the moment which shows the entirety of time. And it shows that the era of stars and light and things like that is just a brief twinkling of the eye. It's a fraction of a percent of the age of the universe. It's a tiny fraction of percent of the age of the universe where actual living entities like us can exist. And the vast majority of time that the universe is going to exist is going to be darkness, with no stars in the sky, just like slowly eroding away white dwarfs and black holes. And eventually time will be meaningless. The universe will just expand forever, but there'll be nothing in it. There'll be no matter left. It'll just erode away to nothing. Just lonely, cold, freezing cold photons drifting around in space. So the point I was getting at is that the negative material plane is essentially the universe in its natural state. Limbo is a transitive plane. It's kind of both. It's an outer plane and it's like a transitive plane because it's got all those color pools that lead to other places. So it's an outer plane that functions as a transitive plane. I don't know where the color pools came from or why they're there, but essentially you can get to anywhere from limbo if you find the right color pool. So in that regard, it's a transitive plane. It may have actually been constructed that way by gods and stuff, and there's some, particularly in 4th edition, there's some talk about it being part of the construction of a outer plane superhighway. Arathis and various others were trying to put together a lattice of heaven. Have you played a game using an Elder Evil before? I would also, yeah, I had a fungus Elder Evil that was taking over things. That was actually a campaign with Zugboy in it, but Zugboy never actually showed up. It was just fungus destroying a city. Mind Flayers show up every now and then. They're definitely Elder Evils, technically. Warhammer, yeah. Some people think that what we think of as time is in reverse. Yeah, well, we wouldn't know. Also, we don't know what the actual scale of time is. We have no point of relevance, point of reference for it. So if we could compare ourselves to another universe, parallel universe, we'd be able to tell whether we're going faster or slower than they are. And it may be that creatures that exist in the far, far future, when events take thousands and thousands of years to take place, may actually be experiencing time. Relative time for them will be the same, but from our point of view, they'll be really, really, really slow. Really slow. But they won't know any difference. They won't have any point of reference. And it may be that previous to our star's generation, because this is a 2nd generation star, it was made from dust from other exploded stars. So there's previous planets and previous solar systems that went into making the one that we're on now. Like this coffee cup is probably made up of matter from different planets. Pretty mind-boggling, but there you go. This water was on other worlds or in other asteroids around other stars. And the beings that lived there, if there were any, may have moved a lot faster than we do. We may actually be slowing down. Thank you, Caljack. So if the Blood War were ever to come to an end, what would happen to the ever-growing forces of the Nine Hells that would grow without challenge? That's a good question. So first of all, I think it's more likely that the Abyss would actually win, because there's been no significant headway in destroying the Abyss. The Abyss itself is almost a living entity. In fact, there was one particular point where there was a pantheon of gods who took on one of the layers of the Abyss, and the actual other layers of the Abyss rose up and struck them down. So the Abyss itself acted like a living entity, which makes sense because it was kind of implied that Obox Ob was the Abyss in a way. Somehow. It's unknown exactly what the workings of the Abyss are. What do I think of the Fermi paradox? I don't want to get into it here. Who would the Zeus of the Faerunian pantheon be? Palor is pretty high up. I guess since he's the overgod, Ao kind of is a Zeus type thing, but he's really disinterested. So, that's a tricky one. We don't have any sort of like Raiden lightning throwing type entity. I mean, you have Zeus-like figures. For instance, the actual Titans, the Empyreans, can throw lightning bolts. So they can certainly manifest as a Zeus-type character. From the perspective of your average D&D peasant, they don't know that an Empyrean is a lesser god. It's, you know, when they think that when an Empyrean shows up, it basically is a manifestation of a god to them. They don't know that they're lesser. Youth gods. Was it the fungus that was banished to the plane of vacuum? That stuff was nasty here. Mushrooms on Mars. That's my answer to the Fermi paradox. Mushroom people. I must say that... no, I haven't read the Empyrean Odyssey yet. I must say that myconids and various other mushroom folk are my favourite Underdark creatures. For sure. Like, I love putting them into campaigns. And they're always pretty popular. Dragon Turtle, the astral plane doesn't have color pools like Limbo. They've got actual portals to different places. So those are more like constructs. Greater God of the Sky and Storms is closest thing, yeah. No, I don't think I've seen Mr. Rex's video on Asmodeus. I've got to watch all of his stuff. He's just started putting out some really good videos on dragons. They're a bit short. They're a bit clickbaity in his titles. Like, you'll never believe this about copper dragons. Come on, man. You don't need it. Like, you don't need clickbait, buddy. You've got a huge audience. NASA has recently released a bunch of photos showing fungus is growing on Mars. Really? Really? Really, really? Can someone confirm that for me? I'm not going to go and Google it myself. Hey! Thank you, Devilham. Is there enough lore to do a video on He Who Was? The idea that humans were created by a quartal god and the implications of the human creator being dead are really interesting. Well, I did put that in that video. It is 4th edition lore, so that's pretty much where it's going to stay. Just a mention. Because it gets really confusing if you start talking about, well, if I start talking about 4th edition lore like it was canonical for 5th edition. And good luck, Ian. Oh no. Crucica deployed. Excellent. Good, good. I hope they're not watching the stream, Ian. You've just given away the plot. What was I talking about? So the 4th edition lore is problematic for me. I want to talk about it because I played that edition, but in another way it was kind of like cobbled together bullshit that they just arbitrarily rewrote a lot of stuff. It was Chris Perkins playing God with the multiverse, and there were some interesting things, like Mike Mills came up with some interesting stuff, but I'm kind of glad they got back to 5th edition and they realized that they kind of screwed the pooch in a lot of ways with the content that they produced. They sort of painted themselves into a corner, that the system was broken, that they had to invent a lot of monsters for high level play that didn't really make any sense. Like, why would you have regular trolls and then gigantic terror trolls? That, like, it didn't make any sense. Where were these monsters in between adventures, you know? No one watches my stream, that's true, Ian. Yep. It's true. No! Mimics! NASA released pictures and other people said it looks like fungus. I believe it's possible, maybe even likely, yet unconfirmed last time I checked. Yeah, well, the problem is that it's very cold and it's very radioactive and it's very toxic on Mars. One of the problems with living on Mars is that the soil there is full of toxic chemicals. So you can't track them back into your abode. So if you're going to go outside, you need to go outside and you need to step into a suit that never comes inside in an airlock. So essentially you stay hermetically sealed the entire time that you're on Mars. You never actually touch the Mars dust. You never bring it inside the enclosure to study it because breathing it in is highly toxic. 100% for real. Yeah, well, I'll go and check it out later on. I know. Yeah, fungus can do some amazing things, but we don't have. If it was fungus that that went there from Earth, maybe. But if you're saying it was fungus that is a remnant of a Martian biosphere that existed long before, there, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. No, I don't generally watch a lot of streaming content for games. I think the only one I've really got time for is Acquisitions Incorporated, and even so, I don't watch the entire game usually. What if Myconids did get to Mars first? They probably did. Like, if there is life there, it's probably a fungus. Or, I mean, the thing that gets me, right, with the whole fungus thing is a fungus is it's a multicellular organism. It's a multicellular organism. And I don't think Mars ever got past the point of single cell organisms. Didn't happen. There was no higher life forms on Mars. The reason being is I think that's the great filter. I think that is the great hurdle that life on Earth passed through in order to get to multicellular organisms and intelligent life. I think the vast majority of life throughout the universe will be single cell organisms, and they never advance past the stage of being single cells. Because why? Why did they in the first place? Why was it advantageous to join together to make multicellular organisms? They didn't need to. They could just adapt to the environment. I mean, case in point, we're constantly attacked by microorganisms. Microorganisms are everywhere. We rely on them for everything that we do. The basis of our life is based on microorganisms. I wouldn't be eating cheese if it wasn't for the bacteria and stuff that makes cheese. So that, I think, is the great filter, the thing. A lot of people think that, oh, you know, there's no intelligent life in the universe because nuclear war and stuff, we destroy ourselves. We have no evidence for that. That's just a supposition. I think the great filter, the reason why we don't see a lot of intelligent life out there, is because they never progressed past single cell organisms. But that's just me. That's just my theory. Oh, okay. Hematite. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, it does look like that. Well, crystal formations obviously change. There is water and stuff on Mars. There is weather, and hematite could react, for sure. No update on the Asgard video yet. Outer Planes in general. As soon as I have finished doing the Monster Manual, then we'll get stuck back into the viewer request stuff, for sure. True, there's no life without cheese. Yeah, you're quite correct, Frank. Well, fungus, yeah, they're the bridge between animals and plants. They're their own thing, really. We can look at planets. We can analyze the spectra of their atmosphere. So life has got some like if we're looking for similar life to our own, then we've got an effect on the atmosphere, so trace elements and things. Particularly if there's civilization, certain trace elements and stuff that we've released into the atmosphere just won't show up unless there's a good reason for it. So there's a good chance that we'll be able to detect if there's life out there from the spectrographic analysis of light bouncing off planets. The moon's made of cheese. Where would we go to find out more about limbo color pools? Probably 3.5 edition. Grab yourself a PDF, look at some old stuff, or just Google it, and you'll find on the Wikipedias and things like that on the planes. Just like go to Wikipedia and look up Outer Planes D&D or Transitive Planes D&D, and it will probably bring up exactly what you're looking for. Yeah, fungus evolved on Earth, as far as we know. Fungus has been around for a very long time, but it's a development of the biosphere that we have. Could be alien. Could be. The moon was delicious, now it's gone. Your favourite bird is an ibis. Nice. And how are they different from astral plane colour pools? They look different. You got me confused now. Hang on. I've got to look this up. Are you telling me I'm making mistakes? I may be. If you don't type D&D when you're looking for things, you get some really weird results. Doodly-doo-doo. So Limbo, twisting quicksilver place filled with bits and pieces of rocks, trees and fallen elements, entire landscapes, strong winds, random pockets of liquid, solid or gas. Sentient beings could dampen down the chaos to livable levels and produce a safe environment. So it's morphic, so your will makes it different. There are cities and stuff there. There's no colour pools. Okay, so no, I am wrong. You are right. There are no colour pools in Limbo. I misspoke. I got it wrong. No, I was thinking of the astral sea. So you're quite right. It's not a transitive plane. Apologies. I'll hand myself into the detention centre for swift and punitive action. There you go. Not always right. Every time you think you know the universe, multiverse, something weird happens. Yeah, obviously fungus is a devolved version of the orcs from Warhammer 40k. You're quite right, Panjay. Carlos, I've been confused about how the Abyss and Demons lore. There's what you said, that it was the Oberth that caused it, and what Jordan said, that the primal seed got corrupted and made the demons. I can't speak for what Jordan said. I don't know. Have to ask Jordan where he got that research from. He may be working from an earlier edition of the game. There's a certain amount of coupling together of lore, because as the D&D has progressed as a body of literature and work, ideas and concepts have solidified from different sources. Yeah, the seed of ultimate evil was like it's manifested like a crystal shard of pure evil. So evil so dense that it's a crystal. And it actually messed up reality, and the Oberth used it to punch a hole. Essentially it punches holes through dimensions, and then the Oberth boil through, and their essence as like corrupted elementals infests the material. So imagine they're elementals, right? But they're messed up elementals. That's why genies, for instance, are elementals combined with souls. Well, the Oberth can only exist as they could only transition through from their multiverse and in a spiritual form, in a soul type form, and so they came through in a similar way that elementals can infest solid material and turn it into a living body, sort of thing. that's what demons do, except they transform it into a pseudo-biological body. And that seed allowed them to rip holes through different dimensions and take over those dimensions by corrupting the material. And the more corruption there is in the material, the easier they find it to manipulate and turn it back into the primal stuff of their original multiverse. So when they've completely corrupted all of the material around, and there's enough demonic energy there for them to exist freely, it's a part of the abyss now. And part of that is that those planes in the abyss are randomly connected. So when you portal into the abyss, you generally show up in a random location. It's very hard to target a place in the abyss to arrive at. How dangerous is an astral dreadnought? Extremely dangerous. So they were created by Tharizdun to essentially guard the astral plane from mortal creatures trying to reach the gods. So they're instructed to eat anything that's not a god. If the abyss is so difficult to deal with, how was Asmodeus able to throw it around? Well, he's not really. He's slow. Like it slowed down. Its progress slowed down because of the Queen of Chaos betraying Obox-Ob. So she kind of crippled the progress of the abyss so that she could gain power. And this very much surprised all of the surprised all of the Oberth. The Oberth were most upset with Queen of Chaos for doing that. Like, it was the ultimate act of insanity. Like, this is our one chance of taking on corporeal form and retaking another universe after our one died, and you stymied that effort for everyone in a crazy attempt to make yourself queen of the universe. Yeah. What does Backblast do and how does it work? Was that a spell? I have no idea. What is Backblast? I don't know what you are referring to. Can one steal back a layer of the abyss? Yes, absolutely. So Eberron is a planet that was stolen back from the abyss. Yeah, that's true, Donald. They can. Tome Beast or Creature Codex? That is a good question. Which one would you buy? Okay, so I've got a couple of questions for you to answer to clarify. The Creature Codex has got a lot of how do you differentiate between these two books? Man, that's a hard question. How do you judge which monster manual is best? By how much you use it, I suppose. Shit, man, flip a coin. They're both really good. Yeah. I think The Creature Codex has got more Fae in it. I could be wrong. Maybe. I don't know, man. I can't choose between these two. Just flip a coin and pick one and go for the next one, next paycheck. You'll get plenty of use out of both. They're both really good. Yeah, Void Dragons are good, but they're really high level. Does 5th edition have a Goddess of Magic? Yeah, Mystra. Tome of Beasts is the first one printed, so I suppose you could go with them in chronological order if you really needed to make a choice. Which one has more Roper variants? Mystra died temporarily. Gods can come back from death too. It's only called the first layer because that was the first one discovered. It's like that's the foyer, the meeting room that other entities of the Abyss go to have meetings. So there's a lot of portals that lead to it, and because it's more accessible than other layers, that's why they call it the first. There is no order to the layers of the Abyss. That's just a cataloging. It's not an actual positional thing. Which third-party company would you use material from without question? Kobold Press, Raging Swan, Duvet Brion Jackson. I'd definitely use his material as well. Who else? Obviously, Matthew Mercer has got some good material. Tabletop Terrors has got some good material as well. Yeah. There's lots, really. Sometimes it just comes down to, have other people heard about it? Is it a popular brand? Have they produced other material before that I have used or seen people using? How reliable are they? How reputable are they? Have they ever produced official content? So there's, you know. Why do the Slard and the one skeleton like Slard Lord of Entropy seem really evil? Because they are really evil. I mean, they're just doing what they do. They love chaos and stuff, but really they're destroying reality. They're destroying order, and because most living things require order in order to exist, what the Slard do is considered to be evil because they're taking away their ability to exist as they wish in an orderly environment. Slard breed on destruction. Yeah, a lot of people are saying Tome of Beasts because Tome of Beasts came first. So get the first one, then get the second one. Any dinos on Sithrune? There may be. I don't think we actually discussed that yet. See you later, Fred. Yeah, I'm going to shoot off as well, everybody. It's been an hour. It's been fun. Slide with laser guns. Yeah, gods have God mode. In regards to why do people turn into a lich or a vampire when they can just use magic to gain life, that is a good question. Mainly because they just don't know about it. That's making the assumption that everybody knows every spell. The ability to extend your life through a form of necromancy is both kind of taboo, so it's only passed on to reputable, like, you've got to pretty much prove yourself somebody who is worth living for a long time for another wizard to give that sort of information to you. Sometimes it's found and hotly contested. It is also an act of evil, generally speaking, to take the life from unwilling participants. So I think a lot of wizards just use it to like trim the weeds in their garden or something like that. So they just they kill non-sentient life in order to take the life force from it for themselves. So there may be lesser versions of that spell. The original spell, which allowed a spellcaster to create an area effect burst which drained the life out of everybody in that area and funneled it into them, is definitely an act of evil, and that was lost. It was a form of epic magic that has been... there is 2 sources in Forgotten Realms, I think, where you can still get that information. Yeah, yes, we did talk a little bit about half dragons, but not much, no. Perhaps I answered all the questions that people have about half dragons. Perhaps it was sufficient. Sorry, Josh. I was also absolutely amazed that there's been like 2,000 something odd views and only 1 dislike. Did I lose my disliker? Who knows? Dragons are overpowered. Yeah, that's kind of the point. Ioun's longevity. Yeah, Ioun's longevity. No, it's not Ioun. Was it? Was it Ioun? It's not the same guy that invented the Iron Stones. Different guy. Yeah, Vecna definitely knows that spell. So, yeah, the difference between extending your life artificially is that you can still get killed. There are a lot of different mitigating things that you can use magic, like basically the Horcrux sort of thing that Voldemort did is essentially making phylacteries for yourself. All the haters left, yeah, maybe. Ligma! It's an old meme, but it still checks out. So they can make duplicates of themselves, they can make soul jars, they can turn themselves into a lich and create basically positions around the place where they can, if they get destroyed, they can make their way back into another body. So these are all contingency factors, but none of the undead options are pleasant ways to live. It is extremely unpleasant to be undead. Being a vampire or being a lich is a torturous existence. Vampires are constantly after blood. These are not like, oh, what will I do today while sipping on, a glass of cold blood. No. This is a pathological addiction that they have to blood on a whole different level. So they are blood crack addicts. And that disrupts a wizard's ability to concentrate on spell research and stuff like that. It essentially turns them into monsters. Same thing with the liches. The liches, they're obsessed with not getting pulled into whatever hell they've sold their soul to. So they become obsessed with magic to sustain them. Magic becomes the entire focus of their existence, and they have no other pleasures in life. Whereas extending your life, you essentially get to stay a living being. And that's appealing. Can you become biologically immortal? Yes, you can. High enough level monks, yep. Man, be a pig. Yeah, well, I generally make it a habit of not disallowing people's comments unless they've attacked other people out of hand. Case in point, one of the members of the community who just took it upon himself to attack everybody that disagreed with him, and went out of his way to go to another video and another thread and just attack somebody because they were having an argument somewhere else. That's not okay. That crosses my line. You can have disagreements in a thread. You can yell and scream at each other. That's your business. But when you seek somebody out to attack them, that's not okay. Like, have robust conversations, but don't be dicks. And if you're a dick, I'll remove your ability to comment. They can still watch the content and stuff, but they can't comment. And I don't know if that also removes their ability to put thumbs downs on videos, thumb up or thumb down. I don't know. So I may actually have accidentally gotten rid of the person who was downvoting my videos. All this time. Who knows? Could you become a were-lobster? They're not biologically immortal because they always die from their shells being rotted out by things, because they get to a certain size that they can't shed their shells properly. So they're not biologically immortal. They're technically immortal. The jellyfish, though, are biologically immortal. So you could have some individual who regresses to a baby-like state and then back to an adult, and then back to a baby, then back to an adult. That would be hilarious. Dealing with an arch wizard who's like 4 years old but talking to you about, you know, high concept multiversal physics. That'd be hilarious. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly, Nicholas. Eldania like lobsters, yeah. Jewel. Yeah, let's just put the icing on the cake stardust and make Chul immortal, and also absolute character killers. That has no brains. Immortal is cheating. Well, then fine. You can you can go. Those of us who want to be immortal will stay. We'll tell it to your children's 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 children. Yeah, jellyfish, humanoid, and cerulean seas by Pathfinder. Exactly. Time dragons, yeah. Jellyfish are crazy. They don't have a centralized brain. They've got a neural net, and yet they migrate into breeding areas. How do they do that? How do they know? Is it just environmental factors? Nobody's ever studied this. Yeah, they sting you bad. They harpoon you with little poison cords fired at you at something like 6 million psi. It's ridiculous. Snid area, they call them. Okay, everybody, time for me to go. Yes, fire golem, fire elemental, and iron golem are an excellent combo. Exactly right, Shrey. Time dragons, yeah. Haven't done a video on time dragons. They sting you to death. They can. Generally speaking, it's the toxin in the sting that kills you. True, Lucas. Time elementals. Maybe, we don't know. You're sculpting Kappa. Excellent. The box jellyfish actually hunts. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. Okay, everyone. Time for me to go. Catch you later. Thanks for joining me on the stream, and I'll see you the same time next week. Same time, same channel. And look forward to some more videos this week.